Welcome to EdTechX Stories. My name is Benjamin Vidren-Cloquet. I'm CEO of EdTechX and partner at IBIS Capital. EdTechX Story is every week 5 minutes of interaction with influencers and innovators making the future of education and work. I hope you'll enjoy our next story. Please join me to welcome our next guest.
Hi, my name is Abdul Chohan. My nickname is Kung Fu Panda. I was born in Bolton. I have been a teacher, a senior leader, and a principal of high school. And I am very excited to be here and tell you a little bit about my story.
Welcome to EdTechX Stories. I'm Genna Ash-Brown, editor at Education Technology, and I'm here with Abdul. Hi, Abdul. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Jenna.
Good. Firstly, I have to ask, where did the nickname Kung Fu Panda come from?
Oh, I think I have to credit that to a colleague that I was working with as part of Apple's education team. And then I mentioned it at home and it's just stuck. I think it's probably a combination of me being a bit rotund, as well as my love for food and the fact that I'm very energetic and I like moving around everywhere.
I love that. I love Kung Fu Panda. So Abdul, tell us one thing that you still have from your childhood in Bolton.
So I still have all my school books and all my school reports, and I still find it very entertaining reading my whole school reports and what my teachers used to say about me and so on.
That's great. What did your teachers used to say about you?
You can kind of map my journey, like, first 2 years of school, maybe even 3 years was a bit kind of shaky, and then suddenly everything changes. I think I kind of knuckled down when it got to GCSE time and so on. So I could see that. There's some really kind of interest. I think teachers summed me up pretty well. I think they figured me out who I was and how I used to learn and the things that I was good at and the things I was not good at.
Amazing. So who or what has influenced you the most, Abdul?
Oh, a number of things. I think my whole kind of upbringing in the community where I live, I think my parents have been a massive influence on me. We're quite a small family. Parents don't come from a well-off background or anything, but just kind of seeing them work very hard and be consistent and to be able to kind of, just kind of put the effort and energy into things and to provide for us in a way that quite often is not always possible. I think that's been a big influence for me. I think some of the first teachers that I worked with, they've been huge influences in my life. The way they taught, their experiences that they came with. I joined a school where I think all the teachers had about nearly 15, 20 years teaching experience. I was kind of like the baby at the time. So I pick up a hell of a lot of stuff from them and so on. And then I think in all the different parts of my journey with the different people that I've worked with, I've always been influenced. I've always watched and observed and, try to take away things that are going to be beneficial for me as well. So I think, wherever I might be at today is a combination of lots of people that I've met on my, journey.
So, talking of where you are today, Abdul, how did you discover your career path and why did you choose it?
That's a really good question because I've always enjoyed teaching, and I think when I first started teaching, I probably, if you would have met me then, I would have said, "Yeah, this is the career, and I will have until I retire," kind of thing. And then I've always had an interest in technology, and then I suddenly saw opportunity for technology in education, and that then began to kind of emerge as a path. And when I first started teaching, there was no such thing as edtech. I then started to kind of see this approach. It was a real passion of mine. And then, based on a number of projects that we did at the time that were kind of quite groundbreaking, that then kind of brought the spotlight, I suppose. And it kind of brings a number of things together for me. It brings the teaching element, even though I'm not teaching students, I might be teaching teachers or principals or educators. And it brings my love and passion for technology together as well.
Sounds like an amazing journey you've had. And what's something that people seem to misunderstand about you or your career or even the sector as a whole?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest misunderstanding is that people think it's about technology rather than the learning or the education, which is why it's good that it's written as ed tech education before the technology. And quite often I find myself really just speaking about teaching and learning, good practices, assessment, feedback, but then adding that additional bit on in terms of how technology can make life easier, how technology can add value, how technology can allow us to do things that we weren't able to do in the past. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm always looking for. I like to share, I like to learn about, and those are the kind of innovations I'm looking for. So I think good teaching is still good teaching. You still have to do all the basics and foundational stuff that research tells us about what makes good learning. But I think technology just adds or has the ability to add value in certain areas, and I think that's quite fascinating for me.
Here is the $1 million question, or I should say the $100 million question. If you had $1 million to spend on EdTech, or pounds in the UK, with no red tape, how would you spend it?
Oh, I think that's quite an easy one for me to answer. I'm going to say 100 million or an unlimited budget, but really, I think I really firmly believe now in the idea that every child in the country should have access to technology. I think like 15 years ago when we first started that program in my first school, where we empowered every student with a piece of technology, we kind of saw the impacts then. It was still kind of early phases. We saw things that weren't working, we saw things that were working very well. But where we are with the internet, where we are with connectivity, where we are with the tools that are available now, I think that every student should actually should have access to a device. What that device should be would be a, I don't know, that school's choice or whatever it is. But I don't think, and I think the pandemic has kind of proven this as well. The fact that it's a real it's kind of a fundamental right, I believe now. The fact that you should be able to access learning and information, have access to your teachers, be able to submit something, after school hours. It allows you to expand your time. It allows you to listen to things that your teacher might have explained earlier on. I think it gives significant advantages for students that have access whenever they needed to. So that's definitely where I would spend that 100 million.
What a fantastic answer, Abdul. Worthy cause for all that money. So are you ready now for the quick fire round?
Absolutely. Let's go.
He was born ready. Okay, so what is your favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Great, I like Fridays too. If you could invite a famous face to dinner, who would it be?
Muhammad Ali.
Ooh, why?
Why? Oh, I just think the man was kind of a bit of a genius, not just in terms of his boxing sport, but his thinking, his speech, as an orator, as a representative of his people, and his thoughts were quite inspiring and so on. So I'd love to be able to have a conversation with him.
Amazing. Teacher or tech?
Teacher, definitely.
100% remote or 100% in the classroom?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think teachers still have massive value. I think I'm so torn on that one. I would want teachers, but then some remote as well, I would think.
That one is quite cruel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's too hard.
How many cups of coffee do you drink in a day?
Double numbers definitely goes into double numbers.
Impressive.
Big coffee aficionado, so yeah, definitely going to double numbers with coffees.
Great. If you could talk to the president, what would you talk about? Hasn't specified which president, so that's up to you.
Um, I I don't know. You've caught me off guard there. I think I probably want to know about vision for the future and all that kind of stuff. But how are you actually going to make it happen? So I always find that you never really kind of get all the details. But I would love to know actually what's that going to look like for a 12-year-old in Bolton. What's that going to look like for him? How is that kid's life going to change? That's the detail that I would want to know.
I love that. You're a man of the people, Abdul. Now, who would you like to nominate next to be interviewed in the EdTechX Innovator series?
Oh, I'd like to nominate Kerry Lee Schroeter. She is at the Ajman Academy in Dubai, in the UAE, and she's been doing some pretty amazing stuff in her school as the EdTech Innovator for that organization.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Abdul.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.